Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about some really killer evidence that the Washington Post reports that Jack Smith has gathered in the Mar-a-Lago obstruction case. Now remember, the big recent event there, Evan Corcoran required to testify, piercing attorney-client privilege. We don't know exactly what he said, but I posited it was really vital and sensational evidence potentially, because it was just at the point when Trump and Team Trump went from 15, no more, like 16, 17 months of bobbing and weaving and deflecting, etc., conduct that might be criminal, but a little hard to prove, to this sort of totally bright line of actually lying in response to and not fully complying with a subpoena from the Department of Justice. That's a really serious crime, and it's really, really serious to the DOJ. You almost can't think of a situation in which you have somebody doing that the DOJ doesn't go after it. And man, oh man, so we have whatever Corcoran said, but now added to it, Smith seems to have gotten some gangbuster evidence that has Trump first, when the subpoena comes, ordering people to move around the boxes. Walt Nata, his helper, apparently testified to that. Personally inspecting some of the documents, which has to be, what do I want to keep? What do I want to conceal? Getting universal counsel from advisors, comply with the goddamn subpoena, Mr. President, and ignoring it. Personally keeping certain things, pushing advisors to lie to the department. I mean, just bright red-handed on a really, really serious crime that the Department of Justice almost cannot not bring. It's so much the thing that the department would always vigorously follow up on, and they seem to have him totally have the goods on him. We just learned this morning a new move. Smith is being very aggressive here. They're subpoenaing the Secret Service folks, another cadre that Trump probably assumed, oh, they can't tell on me, but they can if there's a crime, and they were around him, so they might be able to attest to what he did. This is just all seems to be building a really indomitable, almost irrebuttable case, B, of a really serious felony, C, that the DOJ always takes quite seriously. For my money, the one big thing I said before, it seemed after Corcoran, he'd really developed it very well and it almost was ready to go. We learned this morning that from the Washington Post that he subpoenaed other people, like a Trump aide, not Walt Nata, but a woman who stayed with him, and there's inculpatory emails and the like. And now we find out this morning that he subpoenaed the Secret Service. The question is, if he is really casting a wide net, how much more does he have to go? Because to me, this is a killer case that you just can't dispute or defend. Let's see the Republicans try to prove otherwise. And that is really close to fruition. So I see this as a far more serious case than the Manhattan DA's office, and one that is likely to lap them. The two cases involving state local prosecutors indicting a former president, I think, are going to give rise to some pretty tricky pre-trial litigation and motions to dismiss and the like that will extend them. We'll see. One good thing about New York, just to mention in passing, is that it's always Trump's game to play delay, but New York is very grudging about letting you appeal things up the ladder rather than having to wait until the trial is over, see if you're convicted, and do it then. So that's a strike against Trump here. But I see the Mar-a-Lago documents case. I can't see anything substantial that's left, but obviously the last couple of days have shown things like that. Maybe there's a lot more, but if there isn't, I see it coming to recommendation to Garland soon, indictment soon after that, and a very strong case as to which Trump has very little by way of I can't think of any sort of great exotic motion he can make to really delay things, with the exception of one pivotal point that is, and we'll talk about this later down the line, venue. The obstruction case that's becoming so strong. On another thing about it, it completely distinguishes Trump from anything any partisan person would try to say, well, Biden did it too, Pence did it too. No, 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 zero of this obstruction. However, the obstruction activity takes place mainly in Florida. Does that suggest the case has to be venued in Florida? Right now, the law is that if the Department of Justice picks a place to venue to bring a case, and it's dismissed for wrong venue, that's the end of the case. It's like an acquittal on the merits. But the circuits in the federal system are split on that, and the Supreme Court is due to hear a case this sitting as to whether that should be the law. If they hold that the remedy for a bad venue is to dismiss, but not with prejudice, so you can then refile. That's also a game changer here. They can bring it in DC, try to hold it there, but worst comes to worst, bring it in Florida. But the main thing is on the facts. This is coming at him like a freight train, and a very, very vivid and just indispensable set of facts. January 6th, maybe he tries to talk about all political rhetoric, or that wasn't really me, it was the Proud Boys, etc. Manhattan, Georgia, he doesn't have much to say there. But man, this is just such blatantly, incandescently indefensible conduct. And you really wonder whether his chorus of Republicans who've been forced to come into line, say on Manhattan, even before seeing the indictment, what they'll do in this case. So this, to me, is the locked and loaded, really, big gauge weapon pointed straight at him. And it's gotten very much stronger between the Corcoran stuff and now the stuff that's reported in the Washington Post today. Have a look at that article, but I've given you the basics of it. And more to come. And I think this might supplant Manhattan, both in chronology and just prominence. And that within a few months. Okay, so much, much more to tell you about that as it develops. Until then, talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.